This video tutorial is designed to help with Section A of Assignment 3, which is for Learning Outcome 3.3 in producing a help sheet to support and guide new managers as part of their manager's toolbox in implementing assessment methods used in sports. Here there is an example of a help sheet to guide new managers in implementing a coaching observation, and as highlighted in green, this coaching observation is the selected assessment method. So this is an example. You may follow this and produce something very similar for your assessed work. There are 5 steps to this coaching observation assessment help sheet. And I would like you to think of this coaching observation as something similar to what you have experienced when you've been assessed practically, but this is something that would happen as part of in the workplace for a sports coach as part of their organisational assessment procedures. The first step, as highlighted, would be to schedule the observation with a sports coach and confirm the times, location and other details required. So the equipment or resources required from a coach would be the assessment session plan, and this should be scheduled with the use of what some companies might have or organisations as a shared coaching schedule system. That might be something like Microsoft Office Outlook as part of an email calendar system. It might be like a calendar system, a shared calendar system using something like iPhones. So it could vary between the organisations. The second step is to prepare your own documentation as a manager to carry out the coaching observation. So here we've highlighted the observation record sheet, which should be used to annotate during the coaching observation. This would then be followed out by the next step of carrying out the observation, which has been agreed and recorded, and as previously highlighted in step 1 has been noted in writing or confirmed. During the coaching observation, the observation record sheet should be used to assess and annotate against the coaching criteria of the organisation, which would possibly be quite similar to what you've been assessed on in terms of your command of the group, the use of communication, demonstrations, coaching expertise and knowledge, etc. Immediately following the observation, it should be arranged with the coach a time and location to provide verbal and written feedback, and that would be a little bit more formal than just giving verbal feedback following the observation. And this written feedback would certainly form part of the organisation's coaching performance record and the individual's performance review. So very much a management procedure and looking at the organisation's paperwork and records requirements. The 5th and final step would be to carry out the feedback of the coaching observation with the coach as agreed. And the next part of this tutorial provides a little bit of guidance on feedback, which is essentially important, certainly as we're going towards not just a pass but merit and distinction criteria. So be aware of the following information as well. So as highlighted, there are the following feedback tips, and these come in the following 6 stages, and this is just a guidance for you to amend and certainly change these as you see fit as part of your assessment criteria for assignment 3 for task A or section A. The first step would be to encourage and ensure the coach is comfortable and not directly opposite you, so it's not seen as certainly as formal as an interview. The coach needs to be comfortable as the manager giving the feedback. And certainly with point 2, avoid spatial barriers like having a table in between you in order to do that. The third point really is entering the feedback stage without giving feedback straight away, asking the coach their thoughts on the coach observation, that being because the observation is just one session out of however many the coach delivers, so the observer should be given the tip, if you like, in this sense of seeing if that session that was observed was a typical coaching session. The next point 4 is advising the manager to use a feedback which is in a suitable style or method for their personal approach, and there's 3 options provided. Here it's up to you to highlight and pick out whichever one you want to select and implement in your pro forma, as you're going to produce something similar to this. So you might select the first option, follow a time linear feedback style, and that might be just going from what happened from the start to the end of the session, given the strengths, given the areas for improvement, as and when they happened, in a timeline format. It might be that you want to select and encourage your coaching manager to provide feedback on all the strengths and then all the areas for improvement. Or the third, you might choose the method and guide the manager to give sandwiched areas for development with strengths. So provide a strength, then an area for development, and then another strength. And I'm purely highlighting here point 5, complete feedback with agreed actions on key areas for development, and that would probably be part of the following steps as part of the feedback process, to highlight what's going to happen next if the coach needs to develop on any areas to support the coach. Maybe they need to go on a course, they might need a little bit of mentoring, they might just need to reflect more on the certain areas that are key areas for development and self-improve through reflection. And that 6th point is finally just to bring the feedback to a close and end the feedback with the coach. So you have a definitive start and an end. And this is certainly an important point to acknowledge. You might want to include something like this. It doesn't have to be at the bottom here. It could be something that you've highlighted within the feedback section, or even within step 5, as previously mentioned, to provide a transparent and open feedback briefing for the coaching observation. Hopefully this has proved useful for you. Here's just the overview of the 5 steps that you may wish to follow. It's entirely up to you if you have 5 steps, less or more, if you have a feedback section, but certainly be aware that providing information on feedback, and certainly including within the steps, these 5 steps are the processes and the procedures required, that you have resources embedded within there that are required. So for example, step 2, the observation record is needed, maybe a coaching session plan is needed, or the use of a shared system to confirm the observation times. Those would certainly improve the grade of this task from the minimum pass to moving up to a merit or distinction. Just on a final note, it is entirely up to you if you decide to choose this coaching observation, as I have done here. You may wish to look at a coaching portfolio as the assessment method that you're going to give guidance on, or how you get coaching feedback from participants and parents. It's entirely up to you. I feel that this would be more of a easier transition for you, as you've been through coaching observations yourself in the past, certainly as a student. So I think you might be able to relate to the coaching observation as a method of assessment better than the others.